I chose to interview a gal that I have the utmost respect for as a friend, as a human being, and as a leader. Her name is Cindi Ritchey Fox. She is a senior partner at the New York Life office of Northeast Wisconsin. I'm honored to be able to call her friend. I also worked for her as a life insurance and financial planner at New York Life. Cindi has managed people for 27 plus years, most of her professional career. She's been with New York Life for the last 11 years. When I interviewed with her, I asked her a bunch of questions. A lot of them, I really think I understood what the answers would be, but some of these questions actually surprised me. When I asked her what the best thing about being a leader was, she said that her focus when it comes to leading a team of people and leading a person as an individual, and I think she's far more focused on leading a team of individuals than leading actually a team. And there's a philosophical difference in there that I think will come to light as we go through this. She said that her focus truly is helping people get out of life what makes them happy. What are your goals? She spends a huge amount of time as she's getting to know someone new on the team, determining what they want. What do they want out of their career? What is important to them in their life? And then helping them balance their personal life with their career, fit the career in there, and help them reach their goals. When I asked her what the worst thing about being a leader was, she said that it's very difficult for her as a leader and as a person who is very driven to succeed and always has been. She says that she looks at the potential that a person has. Oftentimes with people, our goals are far higher than what our ability or our working passion is. So we want all of these things, but if we're not willing to put in the time, if we're not driven enough to achieve them, we don't actually reach our goals. She sees the potential in people. She sees what they can be, and when they fall short on themselves, then she feels like she almost hasn't succeeded in a way. She's balanced enough to be able to look at this and say, I've done the best I can. There isn't anything more that I can do, and I need to accept that, but it's a hard thing for her to do. Her biggest surprise was something I didn't know until last December. When I sat down with her, I actually did a budget presentation for some people. She was kind enough to let me use the New York Life offices. We were talking a little bit beforehand, and she said then, and said again now, that her biggest surprise is that she's always a person who is blamed when people fail, but she is never part of their success. So she doesn't get any credit, she just gets the blame. One of the problems with being a leader that I think is overlooked when we take classes like this one, and when we learn from books like Johnson that talk about leadership styles, is the reality of it is that it is quite the balancing act and quite the juggle. When she has an individual on her team that doesn't reach their goals, they tend to blame her. When she doesn't reach the goals that corporate has set for her, they blame her for not leading correctly. So she's stuck in this middle ground of trying to make corporate happy and trying to help people balance their careers and their lives. One of the things that I know well about her is that she is very motivational and she's very grounded. She knows who she is. She knows what she wants. She knows where she's going. She lives and learns all the way along the line. She also doesn't have a problem saying, I don't know this. I don't understand this. Help me learn this. And as she's getting to know her team members, she is able to learn things that they know. For example, she is highly allergic to dogs, cats, animals of all sorts. And I have all kinds of animals. So she is able to learn things about me and about animals because that isn't something that she has ever done, and she's not afraid to learn. It's one of the gifts that she has given me. She's very balanced with her life. She balances work with her personal life, and she understands that for any of her team members, that they don't just live to work, that they all have families and they all have priorities outside of work. And that's important for her when she's talking about being a leader and when she's leading, to understand that about people. I asked her if she changed her leadership style to incorporate the personality of the individual, and she was like, yeah, of course I do. She doesn't change who she is. She changes how she communicates. And I think there's a huge difference. Sometimes we jump to the conclusion that if a person is one type over here and another type over there, that they are not being themselves. And I don't think that's true. I think that you can be completely yourself and change the way you communicate, change your tone of voice according to the person so that you can communicate with them best. What she has found and what I found is that when you are willing to adjust your style, and this is a transformational style, when you're willing to adjust to your team members, they feel far better understood, they feel respected, they feel human. And it's one of the things that a lot of people lack. If you talk to people who have jobs, they feel like a commodity, they don't feel like an actual person. And adjusting the leadership style so that she can teach in the way that is learned best by each individual is a fabulous way of helping them feel valued. And she actually gets people who are producing more than they would normally produce because of that. The really interesting thing that she said about this is that she said any leader who expects their team members to adjust to them versus adjusting to the team members is all about feeding their own ego. When I asked her what she would like to improve about her leadership style, she said that if there was anything, she would like to be able to better accept that there are some individuals that are okay with the status quo and just getting by. People who are very driven and very intelligent, like she is, and can see the potential in people, want them to fulfill their potential. And although lots of us will go into a job saying we want to fulfill our potential, we want to be everything, we want to reach all of our goals, the fact is that many of us do not. And as a driven person who has spent her entire life fulfilling her goals and fulfilling her dreams, it's hard for her to look at someone who doesn't have the drive to fulfill their own potential. Her biggest challenge with leadership is something that I understand very clearly, and that is that as a managing partner, she not only has managers, but she manages team members, and trying to balance the company's needs and the company's numbers. New York Life is financial planning and life insurance, so it's essentially a sales customer service business. So she has managers who say, here are the numbers that I want you to reach. She has team members that she is bound to try to get to those numbers with inside their own box, inside their own personality. And balancing those two, she sees consistently as her single biggest challenge. And part of that is because she's a very holistic type of person. New York Life, when I started with them, and I worked with, and she calls it with, not for, said, we want you to work 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. I have many things outside of that. So when I sat down with Cindi, I said, if that's truly what you're asking me to do, I won't accept this job. And she said, that's not at all what I'm going to ask you to do. You have a life, you have things outside of your life, and I expect you to balance the two. Very tough thing for a manager to do. Cindi has picnic every single summer with all of her team members and their families. And it's one of the things that she really looks forward to. She wants people's families to come into the office. She wants to meet them. She understands that as a leader, every single individual on her team, their family is affected by her leadership style. When I come home from work, I'll talk about my day, I'll talk about my boss, I'll talk about what happened. Those things affect my family. So her leadership style is affecting not only the individuals, not only the people that she's helping through being a financial planner, but also all of the lives of the team individuals that she has and all of the people outside of that she knows. I asked her if you could do it all over again, if you could start from scratch. Isn't that one of the things we always ask of ourselves? If we could start all over again, what would she do? And she said absolutely nothing. She says, I am who I am. All the bumps, all the bruises, all the challenges, all the ups and all of the downs along the way have made me who I am. I'm comfortable with who I am. I know who I am. I know what I want. I know where I'm going. I'm comfortable with my life. I like working, love my family, and I would not change that because I wouldn't be who I am today. And I think if we're talking about balanced leadership, and I can think of several right off the top of my head. Lee Iacocca was one, Jack Hayes was one, that knew how to balance family and their companies. It is that type of person who can say, I'm comfortable with who I am. It doesn't mean I don't want to grow. It doesn't mean that I've decided that I've gone as far as I can or I know everything. It's not an ego-driven. It's a self-confidence. And self-confident leaders tend to be more open to learning, tend to be more transformational. They tend to be more open to other people's ideas because they're comfortable knowing that they don't know everything and they don't have to have all of these people looking up to them in order to feel okay about themselves. Really, really enjoyed talking with her on this level. She is a friend of mine. I just love her dearly. As I said, she was also a manager. This was a little bit different perspective with her because it was outside of the work environment and outside of just having lunch. So I enjoyed doing this interview with her. I enjoyed getting to know her better. I hope all of you enjoyed it as well.